First of all, thanks to all of you for allowing me and my wife to share our story. My name is Jim Holmes. I recently retired from the United States Army Reserve. During my 25-plus years, I served both on active duty and in the reserve component, performing multiple combat deployments that range from Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm to Operation Iraqi Freedom. From the day I enlisted on December 8th of 1988, I knew that there were certain risks associated with my service in the armed forces. I knew that I was signing a contract that required me to risk my own physical health, mental health, personal safety, and up to my life in defense of the nation. I fully understood and willingly accepted these risks. What I did not sign up for is risking of my daughter's health, well-being, and ultimately her life as a result of my service. On January 10th, 2018, I was flying Hurricane Maria recovery missions when I received a phone call from my family doctor that would forever change the lives of myself, my wife, and my daughter. My wife took Kayla to the eye doctor because she was having blurred vision. We thought she just needed a new set of glasses. What we found out is that Kayla had an extremely rare and aggressive form of brain cancer called DIPG. DIPG is a form of brain cancer that forms inside the brainstem and affects 150 to 300 children annually in the United States. It's difficult to treat and 100% fatal. Kayla was a beautiful, intelligent, loving daughter who loved her Army family with all her heart. She made a positive impact on everyone she encountered, excelled in school, and never disappointed me once in her 17 years of life. Kayla bravely fought the cancer for 15 months. During this time, she displayed a mental and physical toughness that few people in this world know. Unfortunately, on March 29, 2019, 3 days after her 17th birthday, Kayla passed away with my wife, our family dog, and myself at her side. What hurt almost as bad as Kayla's passing was finding out a few months after her death that her cancer was possibly caused by water contamination at Patrick Air Force Base. We had lived at South Housing at Patrick from 2004 to 2005 and at Central Housing from 2008 to 2013. Kayla also attended Sea Park Elementary School for 5 years and went to the Patrick Air Force Base after-school program and attended Satellite High School, all at Satellite Beach. Not once in the 16 years we've lived in the Patrick Air Force Base community were we ever made aware that the groundwater was severely contaminated with a hazardous substance called PFAS. The Air Force and 45th Space Wing never publicly disclosed to those of us living on and around Patrick that their own water samples had shown that they were 57,000 times above the EPA's safe drinking water level of 70 parts per trillion. The failure to disclose such critical information showed a complete lack of care for the health and safety of the service members, dependents, and civilians that live on and around Patrick Air Force Base. The PFAS contamination at Patrick has been attributed to the reckless deployment of AFFF firefighting foam during training exercises over the past 50 years. The Department of Defense created AFFF in the late 60s, knew by the 70s that it was toxic to fish, and by the 80s it was shown to be toxic to animals. By the 2000s, PFAS was found to be building up in our blood supply. During this time, the residents of Satellite Beach, Florida have experienced a much higher rate of brain and breast cancers than the general population. Even as residents were raising alarms over the high rate of cancer in the local area, the Air Force stood quiet. Fortunately, Congress stepped in recently and banned the use of AFFF during training exercises. This is a common sense action that should have been taken by the DoD decades ago. The fact that Congress had to make the DoD discontinuing AFFF in training exercises once again shows the DoD's complete lack of concern for the health of the general public. The next step in this PFAS journey is to make the water safe for the service members, dependents, and civilian population that resides around Patrick Air Force Base. The Air Force will lead you to believe that all is well because they use the City of Melbourne water. What they don't tell you is that the infrastructure at Patrick Air Force Base is extremely old. Broken water mains happen regularly, and every time there's a drop in water pressure, our pipes are being flooded with this toxic mess. The people of Satellite Beach need Congress to immediately ban all use of AFFF firefighting foams that contain PFAS and PFBS and force the United States Air Force to take responsibility for polluting our water with toxic chemicals over the years. The time since Kayla has passed away has been quite difficult. I lost my only child due to being poisoned by the same military that I faithfully served and fought for. When I learned of the connection of PFAS and Kayla's cancer, I got rid of all my awards, certificates, and uniforms. The only thing I have with a military connection is my retired ID card. I'll have to live the rest of my life knowing that my decision to serve in the military and reside on a United States Air Force base resulted in the death of my daughter. Let that sink in for a minute. For me to serve my nation, I had to give the U.S. government my health, physically, mentally, and then at the end of it, they took my daughter. I pray that no other service member will ever have to knowingly sacrifice the life of their child by serving their country. Thank you for the opportunity to testify and allow my family's tragedy to be heard. When Kayla was born on March 26, 2002, the war on terror had just begun. My biggest worry was that I would be injured or killed in combat and that Kayla would grow up without a father. I spent every free moment I had building a lifelong connection with my daughter, making sure that she knew for certain that her father loved her. I trained hard, bought life insurance, did my best to ensure she'd be taken care of if something happened to me. I never imagined she would be the one paying the ultimate price for my service.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. We are deeply sorry for your loss. I have a 16-and-a-half-year-old daughter, so I certainly can't begin to know what you've experienced, but we are here in this hearing because of you and your story, and you're honoring the memory of your daughter and ensuring that, at the very least, as we discussed when we were in my office, that her loss would not be in vain, and that others might not have to in the future go through what you and your wife have gone through. So may her memory be for a blessing.